just getting over the line made it even more exciting with tackle 52 or tackle 68.
I was going to say about a million tackles in this one, wasn't there?
Coming up behind him and nearly stopped. It was very... It made it more dramatic and entertaining.
Yeah.
I still think the overall picture of that from the kickoff play with Liam Marshall's spectacular, ridiculous, impossible finish was more, but maybe I'm biased.
You maybe are. Okay, what did the stats tell us about this one then, Mark? Sorry. Is there anything more to add? Do you want to add anything more? I think we touched on it already, haven't we?
I think so, yeah.
What did the stats tell us on this one then, Mark?
Only 4 breaks to 2 in that count for St Helens, so not a massive dominant win there. But elsewhere on the stats, Saints were overwhelmingly dominant. 627 metres more, 1.4 metres per carry better average gain, and 2.2% better tackle success. So that just says what they were doing in contact was so much better. They weren't cutting Hull to ribbons like maybe Cass or Salford at times have been able to do in attacked teams this year. They were just overpowering him and making things stick, like you say. I mean, the 97% or whatever it was, 95% completion rate. It's just, you're not going to lose a game if you have that.
But when we were talking about Saints at the start of the season and talking about where we thought they would do well and what reasons we had for them being in our top 4, we both said it would be to do with this pack and the platform that they can lay. And as soon as they start playing a style of rugby that allows this pack to function, this is the type of result you get.
Certainly.
Yeah, okay. Individually, who stood out for us then?
Alex Walmsley, 2 tries, 6 tackles, 170 metres, making it increasingly clear that, you know, he deserves to be in the England 17.
Yeah.
Tommy Makinson, a try, 222 running metres. He had so much space, plus that long-range try, but it never felt like he was really under that much pressure. On the wingers sometimes got kicks that put him under pressure, but Makinson seems so controlled. LMS, a try, 114 metres, so back to what you said there. James Roby, a try assist, 5 tackles, 137 metres. Kyle Amor, 132 metres.
So for Hull FC then, anyone stand out?
Well, Seeker Manu did work hard with 46 tackles. Danny Houghton worked even harder with an SLP second all-time to his own record of 69 tackles in the game. 68 tackles in this game, 14 marker tackles. Josh Griffin had 122 metres, playing on the wing in this one, and Steve Michaels on the other wing also, 147 metres. So obviously the kicks were tested out wide, not giving Jamie Shaw any space to cause problems.
Absolutely, so good game plan all round for St Helens. Final game of the Saturday then, Mark. So, well, some of you saw Wigan complete a 24-all draw with Warrington. Ben Failer refereed this one. How do you... Well, we'll get to how you feel in a minute, but it was 24-all with Wigan equalising late.
The new format twice.
Yeah, exactly. We should be used to this by now. With Wigan equalising late in the piece to make it 24-all, refereed by Ben Failer. Who got in touch with us, Mark?
Yeah, Fat Boy Rob said, good atmosphere sat with the Pies. Thaler bottled it. Wigan were lucky, but a draw was a fair result. I think he must mean O'Loughlin's grabby sort of reach high tackle when Brown stepped in.
Yeah.
Or was there a...
No, I think
there was a contentious-ish knock-on on Kevin Brown as well in Wigan's set that got them up the field. But
there was some conversation about whether or not Locker should have been...
But I tell you what, there was a lot of conversation about whether Warrington's players should ever bother to try and fucking play a ball or just wants to jump on the floor every time that they're in tackle.
Okay. Brian Davies says the most exciting and closest game of day one, but the skill level from both sides was poor. Everything my favourite Kevin Brown turned to shite, and unfortunately for Wire, he was involved in almost everything they did. Tompkins must have had a pair of those Dacia foam hands on, as he couldn't catch a cold. Lockers saved Wigan and was head and shoulders above anyone else on the pitch. Wakey, however, remain above Wigan.
Lee Whitnell said, one day in the future, Wigan will be so decimated by injuries that they'll be forced to use the Year 9 team from St Peter's School in Orrell. This team will play Warrington, get reduced to 12 players, and will win with a last-minute draw goal. Psychologically, we are incapable of closing out a high-profile game against the Cherry and White shirts under any circumstances, so I'm going to take this 1 point as a massive victory.
There you go. Wyatt Joe says, in some ways, I wish we could put in a full 80 minutes of being shit. That way, I could resign myself to some interesting middle-eight away games. But when we show flashes of decent play like we did to go ahead versus Wigan's under-13s, it gets me hoping we might dig ourselves out of the shit. But inevitably, all hope is dashed when we concede from an 80th minute Hail Mary, leaving me asking, why do I do this to myself every week? Wow, that is embittered, Wyatt Joe.
Mark W said, a lot of calls seemed to go Warrington's way, but they wasted their chances. At the same time, it could have been Wigan's game were it not for Sean O'Loughlin's high shot. Wigan slightly better on balance, but a draw is probably a fair result.
There you go, Scoots 28 Max
That's
says...
the total opposite of Fat Boy Rob, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Interesting.
Scoots 28 Max says the final 28 minutes of this match made up for the first 200 minutes... I'll start again. Scoots 22 Mac. Fuck me, Dad. Scoots 28 Max says the final 20 minutes of this match made up for the first 220 minutes I'd already sat through. It had everything in the way of excitement, and possibly a draw was the fairest result. Wish the Wire fan would stop banging the drum, though. I would suggest you don't come stand in the Bradford end next Saturday. There'll be a drummer.
Okay.
There you go. Oh, that's it. That's the end of the feedback. I turned my page expecting you to have more to say. Well, listen. You think this is, as far as you're concerned, this was a narrow defeat for your lot. So what did you make of this one, Mark?
No, I think that this was a game that was close and exciting because neither team was probably quite enough better than the other.
Yeah.
It really didn't help us that 15 minutes into the game, young Josh Woods goes off injured, and we're again forced to play very makeshift half combinations. George Williams is not the kind of half who can control the game. He can dominate a game. He's that talented, but he doesn't control
guide you about
the game. And when we hadn't had the 12-6 lead going into the half, it was hard to know who was going to control it, knowing Lockers was set for a stint off the field around that time. I thought, whilst the sin binning on Lewis Tierney was unavoidable from the referee's perspective, it was certainly avoidable from Stefan Ratchford's perspective, who had no fucking intention of standing up and playing a ball that he could totally have stood up and played.
Okay.
But Lewis Tierney's hands were around his body, sort of hovering in the area, and any sort of brush, and the player decides to do the dishonest thing rather than the honest thing, and the referee was probably not giving it, kind of like the instances where a player leaves his foot in on a goalkeeper in football and goes down in the penalty area. It's kind of one of them, wasn't it, almost?
Yeah.
But I thought we'd seen it 4 or 5 times before that in the game, where Warrington had won penalties by basically being so determined to not play a ball that they made sure Wigan were on them somehow, somewhere, which frustrated the life out of me. But it would do. I'm a Wigan fan.
It was frustrating in terms of the spectacle of the game, though,
I think Wigan were able to overcome all of that in the first half. Obviously, a touch of fortune, very much so, with Liam Marshall's second try. But the official stats only credit O'Loughlin with 1 try assist, which would be the kick. But obviously, he set up that first try too. Yeah. Brian picked him out. He was the best player on the pitch. I don't think anything more than a penalty was warranted for a player stepping a player who had sort of a hanging arm that hit him in the sort of upper chest, lower neck first, and then went up into the chin rather than direct contact to the head. Was how I saw that, but again, slightly biased.
But you do see him given, though. You do see people go to the bin for stuff like that, for just to calm them down, don't you? I don't think
it was a calm down play. It wasn't an aggressive moment in the game. Yeah.
Which is what I was about to say. That's not really the sort of player Sean O'Loughlin is it? It's not. He's not.
Well, other people would definitely argue against that.
He sometimes leaves a lazy arm hanging out there.
It wasn't an aggressive moment, and it also wasn't like a flare-up moment between the two sides who played with a modicum of respect for each other at that part of the game. By that stage, when the referee isn't just going to give you every penalty you go for, he's going to give the penalties out of penalties at that stage of the game in the last 10 minutes or so. I really thought it was all lost, to be honest. Stefan Ratchford's try was marvellous.
Yes.
The one good piece of work Kevin Brown did that came off in all facets of it and ran through to the end. Lewis Tierney maybe could have taken a better angle defensively, but hey, he's not the strongest defensive fullback that you'll ever see. He works tirelessly, though.
Let's talk about what a phenomenal player and what a great finisher Liam Marshall has become in his time in this Wigan squad. And now is for you?
Well, it's his individual
effort.
His individual effort for his hat-trick try. I mean, for a young man of 20 to have the confidence to go and push McIlroy out of the way, take control, do what he did, and finish it off with the determination that was above everyone else around him. That was remarkable. What about young Jack Wells as well, standing up to Chris Hill? He's making a habit of picking on teenagers, isn't he?
Chris Hill shaved his head, turned him into a bit of a bully, hasn't it? Yeah, absolutely. The thing I liked about Liam Marshall's try is not to get back to bank the draw. The fact that he had the presence of mind to take it under the sticks as well. This is a young kid. He's not just got the ball down and gone off and celebrated. He's actually had the presence of mind to.
On the first two.
Trying to get the ball under the sticks and make it easy for his half, make it easy for his kicker. So, again, that's...
because if we could have done that, which we couldn't do on the final try, but if we could have done that on the final try, it would have been... would have been a win, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's,
Or if Josh Woods was still on the pitch to kick that, because he kicks everything.
Yeah. Conversely, if Liam Marshall hadn't had the presence of mind to do that, you get beaten by 4 points.
Potentially.
So, yeah, tremendous. And... thank God for Wigan's youth system from your point of view, because it really is keeping you afloat this year, isn't it?
As was shown on Jack Hughes' try. I mean, it was neat play by Warrington. They picked the weakness in Wigan's defensive line.
Of course.
Frank Paul Nuasala makes so many mistakes coming out of his own end. It's getting to be intolerable from a Wigan fan's perspective. But Warrington took so much advantage of it in that period and got those set up plays. Then there was one O'Loughlin pushed. If Wigan didn't make those errors, it could have been a different outcome. But then if Warrington hadn't made the absolute massive range of errors they made, including the try that old floppy Pat threw into touch instead of getting it into Russell's hands when Wigan were down a man. Wigan actually won the down a man period, I think, in the end, which is what Lee picked up on.
Yeah, there you go.
So both sides made too many mistakes, and so that probably meant the draw was just about right.
There you go.
Warrington probably had more endeavour overall as a side, but were also their own worst enemy more as a side than a Wigan side who probably were scratching for their performance a little bit more, particularly some of the players that you're expecting something to come from, like Williams, and then maybe the other people in the backs, like I don't know. It's hard to criticise young Tom Davies or Liam Forsyth.
I don't like to level anything at those young men's feet. Look, as far as 24-all draws go, this was not the best game I've ever seen, but certainly an exciting final 8 minutes, which made it worth the entry fee, I would say, if you were at the Magic Weekend. Good to see. What did the stats tell us there, Mark?
Not on that page. They tell us.
Listen, I feel like I should get your head in the game, but you do so much hard work through the week, and you're so flexible with me that I can't.
It's hardly surprising that this game to hear that this game had the most errors of the weekend, 33, which was the second most in a game this year. Warrington had 19, not 119. Had 19.
I thought you put that in for comedy value.
Warrington had 19 of those errors. Wigan, though, lost the 10-8 penalty count and had a troubling 3.5% worse team tackle success. That has been a big Achilles heel for Wigan this year. Warrington made 209 more metres at 0.6 metres per carry better game and 3 more clean breaks. With more positive plays and fewer negative plays overall, they probably should have found a way to win had it not been for all those 19 errors. But we've seen this before from Wye this year. Look at the Hull draw as another example of being terrible at executing.
There you go. So individually, who stood out for us? Well, we don't have a winners and losers, so let's go for not alphabetical, reverse alphabetical order. Who's
it's the way they were lined up on the sheet, wasn't it? They were Wigan were the nominal home team, so we start with them. Liam Marshall, 3 tries, 160 metres, 2 clean breaks. Liam Farrell, 125 metres, so 2 people celebrating the new contract. Well, Ryan Sutton, 105 metres. Tom Davies played like a prop again and got us out of our own end well with 122 metres. The kid works so hard. Sean O'Loughlin, 1 try assist, but I'm saying it's 2, and 5 successful offloads.
There you go.
For the Wolves, Tom Lynham, 1 try, 107 metres. Steph Ratchford, a try, 2 try assists, 5 tackle bust. Matty Russell, 142 metres, so doing the same as Tom Davies, really, in that regard. Chris Hill, 127 metres, 3 successful offloads. Mike Cooper, 144 running metres, and a clean game from him in the middle, playing long minutes with the whole purpose of the Thor kit being completely redundant.
Yeah, no real reason for that at all. Okay, so we roll into Sunday then, and the opening game of Sunday morning while everyone was shaking off their hangovers saw Lauren Fraser take charge of Catalan Dragons for the last time as they were defeated 10 points to 18 by the Huddersfield Giants, Mark.
Yes, and Fatboy Rob said, "Could Joe's a greedy twat?"
There you go. Alfie Wall said this was a hard match to watch. The end.